welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. And welcome to another episode of 31 Nights of Fright. How's your day going, your night going? I hope everything is awesome. So I'm pretty sure y'all know about the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark book. And last video, I think it was a year ago or more, when I filmed a video talking about one of those stories, you know, telling you guys one of those stories. I think it's really spooky. It's not that scary, but it's still spooky. So yeah, I'm here with the more scary stories to tell in the dark book. I believe they have 3. I used to absolutely love those when I was a kid. I still do to this day. They have some pretty bone-chilling stories too. Some funny ones as well. But yeah, before we get started though, I just want to say that if you're new here, I'll post some videos every week. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can become part of this little Spooky Bell fam. Because if you like spooky things, you're gonna love it here. I also have a podcast where I discuss spooky things, obviously. It's called Wanna Hear a Scary Story. And it is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible. The link to everything is gonna be in the description below. And now if you wanna hear all about these scary stories to tell in the dark, more scary stories to tell in the dark, just go ahead, turn off your lights, and stick around. Okay, so the first one is called The Window. Margaret and her brothers, Paul and David, shared a small house on top of a hill just outside the village. It was so warm one summer night that Margaret could not sleep. She sat up in bed in the darkness of her room, watching the moon move across the sky. I love doing that. But suddenly, something caught her eye. She saw 2 small yellow-green lights moving through the woods near the graveyard at the bottom of the hill. They looked like the eyes of some animal, but she could not make out what kind of creature it was. Soon, the creature left the woods and moved up the hill toward the house. Oh my god. I never read this one before. For a few minutes, Margaret lost sight of it. Then she saw it coming across the lawn toward her window. It looked something like a man. And yet, it didn't. Margaret was terrified. She wanted to run from her room, but the door was next to her window. She was afraid the creature would see her and break in before she could escape. When the creature turned and moved in another direction, Margaret rushed to the door. But before she could open the door, it was back. Margaret found herself staring through the window at a shrunken face like that of a mummy. Its yellow-green eyes glowed like a cat's eyes. She wanted to scream, but she was so frightened that she could not make a sound. This is so scary. The creature broke the window glass, unlocked the window, and crawled inside. Margaret tried to flee, but the creature caught her. It twisted its long, bony fingers into her hair, pulled back her head, and sank its teeth into her throat. Margaret screamed and fainted. When her brothers heard her piercing scream, they rushed into her room. But by the time they got there, the door was unlocked. The creature had fled. Margaret lay on the floor bleeding and unconscious. While Paul tried to stop the bleeding, David chased the creature down the hill toward the graveyard. But soon, he lost sight of it. The police thought it was the work of an escaped lunatic who believed he was a vampire. When Margaret recovered, her brothers wanted to move to a safer place where it would be harder to break in, but Margaret refused. The creature would never come back. She was sure of that. But just in case, Paul and David began to keep loaded pistols in the room. One night, months later, Margaret was awakened by a scratching sound at the window. When she opened her eyes, there was the same shrunken face staring at her. Okay, could have moved. That night, her brothers heard her cries in time. They chased the creature down the hill, and David shot it in the leg. But the creature managed to scramble over the graveyard wall and disappeared near an old burial vault. The next day, Margaret and her brothers watched as the sexton of the church opened the burial vault. Inside was a horrifying scene. Broken coffins, bones, and rotten flesh were scattered all over the floor. Only one coffin had not been disturbed. When they opened it, there lay the creature with a shrunken face that had attacked Margaret. The telltale bullet was in its leg. They did the only thing they knew of to rid themselves of a vampire. They built a roaring blaze outside the vault and fed the shrunken body to the flames. They watched the body burn until nothing remained but ashes. Is that it? Oh, so that was a vampire story. I didn't even know that. Perfect for Halloween. Okay, so I know this one. It is called The Voice. Ellen had just fallen asleep when she heard a strange voice. Ellen, it whispered, I'm coming up the stairs. I'm on the first step. Now I'm on the second step. Ellen got scared and called her parents, but they didn't hear her and they didn't come. And the voice whispered, Ellen, I'm on the top step. Now I'm in the hall. Now I'm outside your room. Then it whispered, I'm standing right next to your bed. And then I've got you. Ellen screamed so loud and the voice stopped. Her father rushed into the room and turned on the light. Somebody's in here, Ellen said. They looked and looked, but nobody was there. Wow, this is terrifying. So the next one is called Oh, Susanna. Susanna and Jane shared a small apartment near the university where they were students. When Susanna got back from the library one night, the lights were out and Jane was asleep. Susanna undressed in the dark and quietly got into bed. She had almost fallen asleep when she heard someone humming the tune to the song Oh, Susanna. Jane, she said, please stop humming. I want to get some sleep. Jane didn't answer, but the humming did stop, and Susanna fell asleep. She awakened early the next morning, too early, she decided, and was trying to go back to sleep when she heard the humming again. Please go back to sleep, she told Jane. It's too early to get up. Jane did not answer, but the humming continued. Susanna became angry. Cut it out, she said. It's not funny. When the humming still did not stop, she lost her temper. She jumped out of bed, pulled the covers off Jane, and screamed. Jane's head was gone. Somebody had cut off her head. I'm having a nightmare, Susanna told herself. When I wake up, everything will be all right. And that's the end of it. What was that? I also knew that one. Okay, let's find one that I don't know, which is almost impossible. Okay, how about this one? Cemetery soup. Sounds gross, but let's do it. By the way, look at the image. It's so pretty. Like, I love all the images. They're really good. Okay, so let's begin. On her way home from the market, the woman took a shortcut through the cemetery. Why? There, sticking up out of the ground, she saw a big bone. She picked it up and looked it over carefully. This will make a very good soup bone. What? She said. That's what she said. Okay. I think I'll take it home. It's perfect weather for hot soup. Very gross. When she got home, the first thing she did was start the soup. Into the big soup pot went water, carrots, green beans, corn, barley, onions, what was that? Potatoes, a snitch of beef, some salt and pepper, and the bone. She brought it all to a boil, then brought it down to a simmer. Yum, she said, sniffing it and tasting it. Suddenly, she heard a small voice. Please give me back my bone. Oh, this one is like where's my toe? Anyway, the woman paid no attention. Soon, she heard the voice again. May I have my bone back, please? The woman was reading the newspaper, and again, she didn't take any notice. In a little while, the voice spoke up once more, and it was beginning to sound angry. I mean, if a bitch steals my bone, I'm gonna be pissed. Give me back my bone. The woman kept on reading the paper. Some people are too impatient, she muttered. Once more, the voice spoke. Now it sounded very angry, and it was so loud that the whole house shook. I want my bone back. The woman reached into the pot, grabbed the bone, and threw it out the window. In a voice just as loud, she shouted, Take it. Oh my God. That's it? Oh, there's more. There was an eerie silence. Then the woman heard footsteps walking away from the house down the road toward the cemetery. And she got up and served herself some soup. That's it. That's it. What was that? Like a bitch fucking gets something from the graveyard bone, like gross. And she makes soup with it like it's a normal thing. And then she gets mad at the ghost, the corpse or whatever, for wanting it back. What was that story, honestly? Have you guys ever heard of this one before? Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're still watching this, would you mind commenting an emoji, like 2 emojis? So a soup emoji and a bone emoji, please. Thank you so much for watching tonight's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love the scary stories on the dark. I was gonna make a movie based on those, but I don't know if I can. I should definitely look it up. But yeah, thank you guys so much again. I hope you're enjoying your night or your day, whenever it is when you're watching this. And I will see you children tomorrow. Toodles.